Hey, hi, you guys. Alright, so I'm literally covering this video on my TikTok live at the moment, so I'm going to just do like an overview through it and then transfer the freaking video over, and then you guys will be seeing it on YouTube after, and also on our TikTok account for DKHLegalAid. So, we'll be covering the topic of the separation of church and state. So, in this one, let's see. 3, 4. Okay, so it's like 4 slides plus like a final paragraph. With it being live and with me trying to, with the set freaking basis of trying to keep it consistent and not overly time consuming for myself and for you guys viewing it, I'm gonna try to keep it to the freaking strict notes basis. I've got the freaking like, it might be like, okay, or it might like fall a few times throughout this. Hi, thanks for tuning in. Alright, you guys, I'm covering a freaking legal topic video. It's alright, oh, cool. Okay. Hi, thanks for tuning in. The separation of church and state is a philosophical and legal concept that defines the political distance between religious organizations and the state. It's a fundamental principle of the United States Constitution's First Amendment, which states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So, setting the basis for limitations of the religious stance, viewpoints, and overall basis of judgment within our society. So, in pursuing a job, you can't be discriminated against for your religious beliefs. And as we'll touch base a tad later into this, for the establishment of organizations, there is no strict legal basis for funding to be, allocated to religious sects or division, as it would be the it would be a stance towards like allocating funding to a religious sect over the overall needs of the people in general. But we'll touch base a tad on there like more. But that's gonna be like the major like basis of it. But there's gonna be more information to kind of like make it more like straightforward and like to the T, covering the legal parameters of it. Alright, thanks for tuning in, guys. The separation of church and state is important because it ensures that the government does not support religious practices. It prevents the government from favoring one religion over another, so ensuring that everybody has their protectorates ensured for each religious stance and basis that anyone in our country may freaking stand for. That way there's no strict religious favorability over any other throughout the country, and there's no sense of division or like overfunding towards a religious sect based off of individual views and religious stances. It protects the private practice of religion, so ensuring that you still have that right to practice your religion and that you are able to do so without being persecuted against. The phrase separation of church and state is often used in court cases. For example, in Everson v. Board of Education, the Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black famously stated that the First Amendment has erected a wall between church and state. The phrase is generally traced back to a letter written by Thomas Jefferson in 1802 to the Danbury Baptist Association in Connecticut. In the letter, Jefferson referred to the First Amendment as creating a wall of separation between church and state. Violations of the church and state occur when government actions favor or endorse a particular religion or religious practice, or when the government interferes with religious freedom. The principle of separation of church and state, enshrined in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, aims to prevent the government from establishing a religion or interfering with the free exercise of religion. Examples of violations of examples of violations of the separation of church and state include government funding, and this one was one that I was like touching base on, for like favoring a religious sect over like the overall needs of the people, and then allocating funds towards a religious like group set basis of religious activities, religious organizations, and everything that falls within the overall basis of a religious practice involved within like the workplace, and for aspects such as like non-for-profits, and overall establishing that basis for separating the church stance from the stance of the overall corporation, business, group, or whatever the stance of the religious sect may be. Providing public funds to religious schools or organizations can be seen as a violation, as it can be perceived as endorsing a particular religion. Mandating religious practices in public schools, requiring students to participate in prayer, religious instruction, or other religious activities in public schools violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment, as it promotes a particular religion over others or no religion at all. Displaying religious symbols or promoting religious messages on government property, using government resources to display religious symbols or promoting religious messages can be seen as an endorsement of a religious group, sect, the overall basis of the religion being represented through the interpretations of, art, posters, overall the base like forcing your beliefs upon others. This is seen overall the base like forcing your beliefs upon others. This is seen as violating the principle of neutrality. Religious discrimination in government programs or services. Denying services or benefits to individuals based on their religious beliefs or practices violates the Free Exercise Clause of the First Amendment, which ensures freedom of religion, which again is that protectorate ensured that you are able to practice your religious beliefs and have your stance to protect what you believe to be your religious basis for your life, your religious sect, and your beliefs overall. Coercion or pressure to participate in religious activities. Government officials or employees pursuing individuals to participate in religious activities, even if it is not mandatory, can be considered a violation of the separation of church and state. One second. Government involvement in religious appointments or decisions. Government involvement in the appointment of Government involvement in religious appointments or decisions. Government involvement in the appointment of religious state. So a lot of these are going to set the basis for major violations that have taken place pertaining towards religious affairs being incorporated into like the day-to-day flow of like business affairs and what is considered to be a frowned upon action. Specific examples of cases and controversies include Engo v. Vital, 1962. The Supreme Court ruled that a mandatory prayer in public schools was unconstitutional, violating the Establishment Clause as stated before. Abington School District v. Schempp, 1963. The court found that Bible reading and the recitation of the Lord's Prayer in public schools were also unconstitutional, and as you can see with the 1962 to 1963 basis, it was kind of like one of those things that was like back to back. It was like, challenged in 1962, then in 1963 they brought it back up. They were like, wait, like what if we're like being like persecuted against also, we're like literally forced to participate in religious acts that we feel as though we shouldn't be held to do. And they were like, okay, bring it to the table and we'll like do like an overview of it and see what we can do about that. Lemon v. Kurtzman, 1971. The Supreme Court established the Lemon Test, a framework for analyzing the constitutionality of government actions related to religion. And I believe that one's brought up. Yeah, it's brought up in just a few, but we're going to touch base on one more case. Carson v. Macon, 2022. Now, this one was a recent one from a few years ago. The Supreme Court ruled that Maine's tuition assistance program must allow students to use state funds to attend religious schools, raising concerns about the separation of church and state. So, I've stated before, schools, religious organizations, and religious, businesses in general are not to be favored among any other business to receive funding as their set basis is to be drawn from, donations, funding from partners, and the overall religious sect as their main basis for funding. So that kind of set that whole major basis up. Well, if you're going to require that funds be allocated to cover the tuition of students attending these religious schools, you're violating the, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm gonna be so sad. I look chubby as heck doing that. In doing so, that violates the freaking separation of church and state, however. The concept of separation of church and state is crucial for protecting religious freedom and ensuring that the government remains neutral on matters of religion. It is a fundamental principle that helps safeguard the rights of all citizens, regardless of their religious beliefs. And now we'll touch base upon the Lemon Test, which was established in the Lemon v. Kurtzman 1871 Supreme Court case. The Lemon Test was a three-part test used by the Supreme Court to determine if a law or government activity violated the First Amendment's Establishment Clause. Secular purpose. The law must have a secular purpose. Oh gosh, and I did not freaking have a breakdown covering that. One sec. Secular purpose defined. Oh gosh, secular purpose. Okay, so secular purpose is a principle that requires government actions to be justified by a primary, genuine secular purpose. This principle is part of the Supreme Court's interpretation of the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. The secular purpose rule means that government actions that are only supported by religious beliefs are unconstitutional. The court has also ruled that the asserted secular purpose must be genuine and not secondary to a religious objective. So, ensuring that there has to be the established that motive behind, the actions that are taking place and as to why the case is being presented overall. That way we can deem if the case is freaking one that should be freaking reviewed or one that can be kind of chopped up to falling within the basis of constitutionality and approved actions. Predominantly secular effects. This law must have a predominantly secular effect, so it must literally affect the freaking views of the sect, the overall religious freaking stance of the sect in question, and it must call for that basis of forcing others to adhere to the religious secular stances of the sect group or religious the overall, let's say, I'll rephrase that to the overall religion. Excessive entanglement. The law must not foster excessive entanglement between government and religion. The Lemon Test was used for nearly 4 decades, but the Supreme Court largely abandoned it in 2022. And that's going to be in reference to around the same time as the Carson and the Macon case took place. The court cited portions of American Legion that discuss earlier cases in which the court did not apply Lemon. The court said that the Establishment Clause must be interpreted by reference to historical practices and understandings. The Lemon test was named after the lead plaintiff in Lemon v. Kurtzman, Alton Lemon. The test combined previous analysis of separation of church and state issues, including the secular purpose doctrine from Abington School District v. Skemp in 1963. See, I told you guys they were connected. They were like, religious case number one, and then they were like, well, you just freaking opposed us, we're going to come at you again, and then they were like, no, we're going to take you guys to court again. So then religious case number two. So 1962, 1963, the challenge of the church's involvement within the activities of day-to-day citizens. The separation of church and state refers to the principle enshrined in the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, which prohibits the government from establishing a religion or endorsing a particular religious belief. Essentially, it means the government should remain neutral in matters of religion and not favor one religion over another or promote religion over non-religion. Key aspects of the separation of church and state include the Establishment Clause. The First Amendment states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment, and this one was like stated in the beginning of it, but it's kind of like a restatement of it overall. No law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. This clause has been interpreted to mean that the government cannot create an official religion, favor one religion over others, or coerce others to participate in religious practices. The wall of separation. The metaphor of a wall of separation between church and state was popularized by Thomas Jefferson, who argued that the Establishment Clause aimed to create a barrier between government and religion. The Lemon Test. The Supreme Court has developed a framework for evaluating Establishment Clause cases known as the Lemon Test. This test considers whether a government action has a secular purpose. So if it is a government action that is set to protect the rights of the church over the rights of the people, it has to be challenged to ensure that the rights of the people are protected over the stance of the church within the freaking set guidelines of the separation of church and state, the separation of the life of the citizens, and the religious stances of religious groups, organizations, overall religions within our day-to-day lives. Oh gosh, okay, I can't sleep. Alright, I'm gonna work with this for a bit. There goes my freaking goal session. Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. The Lemon Test. The Supreme Court has developed a framework for establishing Establishment Clause cases known as the Lemon Test. This test considers whether a government action has a secular purpose, neither advances nor inhibits religion, and does not create excessive entanglement between government and religion. Strict separation vs. accommodationism. There are two main interpretations of the Establishment Clause: strict separation and accommodationism. Strict separationism believes that the government should maintain a strict separation between church and state, avoiding any entanglement or accommodation of religion. Accommodationists believe that the government can accommodate religion as long as it does not endorse or establish a particular religion, which in itself is just a no-go, because if you freaking set a freaking loophole within that freaking clause where you allow others to freaking endorse or freaking favor a religion and their views to be imposed upon the public and the people, you literally just kind of slap yourself in the freaking face throughout the process. It's literally you're setting these freaking rules to protect the rights of citizens, and then ensuring that the the rights of the citizens can be imposed in certain cases. You literally just set people to be freaking set back within the freaking dark ages, where it's like, should the church freaking decide every aspect of my life again? And then in doing so, it's like, well, we freaking work to set these freaking rules to ensure that the church has no overall freaking power over the lives of citizens, so that everyone is able to pursue their freaking lives to their freaking favorite freaking aspects. And in doing so, you're freaking able to literally just, you can denounce your freaking religion, you can pick a different religion, you can freaking choose to freaking worship your religion. Let's see, for a reference towards like freaking I guess like the freaking Islamic, or yeah, the Islamic and the Christian faith systems, because they tend to like worship a lot. So with Christians, it's like there's Bible studies on like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, and there's church on Sunday. There are like constant like religious outings for the Islamic faith. There are freaking like meetups. There are prayer sessions. There are freaking times throughout the year where they freaking like, there are like things such as like I think my uncle went to something called like Juma, and it's like there are like religious freaking events that like take place over like a freaking like a week, and it's just like they are extensive freaking processes. But that is your freedom to like practice your religion and your faith. But in imposing that upon others, you are taking away their freedom that they are ensured by the protectorates of the land. The Free Exercise Clause. The First Amendment also includes the Free Exercise Clause, which protects individuals' rights to practice their religion freely. This clause complements the Establishment Clause by ensuring that individuals are not prohibited from practicing their religion, provided that their actions do not violate laws applicable to everyone. So in doing so, it's like, you have the freedom to practice your religious faith and your stances within your like religious sect. However, you can't impose those upon others. You can't, let's see. So in the households in which we are raised within, there are typically the religious stances of the parents that we freaking practice, that we are taught to be a part of and to represent throughout our life. But as you grow and you age, you come to be more mindful, you gain more wisdom and more insight of other aspects. So it's like if you choose to be like somebody who wants to pursue a different religion and practice another faith, or if you choose to like literally even just denounce like a freaking religious stance and you choose to be somebody else like more agnostic or so, it's something that you're able to do, and you can't have others impede upon you. But during the younger years, it's kind of one of those things where it's like the religious stance and the practice of faith the practice of faith. It's like, as I covered in the non-custodial parental rights video, you are kind of given less of a say during your younger years in life, where the religious stances and viewpoints are set to be preserved and granted to your parents. And as you grow later in life, your religious viewpoints and stances are set to be something as though when you are asked, as you are going through like custodial fights with your parents, as you get older, you gain a say, as opposed to, it's our say because this is what is in the best freaking this is what is best for you. As opposed to that, you're given a stance to literally choose what you like, what you would feel best. Would you want to stay with this parent? Do you want to stay with that parent? Like, what would you favor? And then we'll weigh upon again what was in the best interest of you. When it comes to your religious stance, as you grow older, it is something that is your faith practice. So if you choose to practice a different faith because you've done your research and it feels as though it's something more that you'd be geared towards, that is your right to do so. And if you choose to freaking denounce your freaking religious stance overall, that is still your right to do so, because that is your free exercise that is ensured within the First Amendment that you are able to have over your own life. The implications. The separation of church and state aims to protect religious freedom, prevent government coercion in religious matters, and foster a society where individuals can practice their faith freely without government interference. Examples of separation of church and state in action include School prayers. The Supreme Court has ruled against mandatory prayer in public schools, recognizing that government-sponsored prayer violates the Establishment Clause. So now when I know what you're thinking, you're probably like, oh my god, that's so freaking great. So like, if I send my kid to school, I won't have to worry about them like literally having to participate in something that's like, say like, they're like praying to a god that's different than the god that I believe in, or to praying for, or just like praying in general within school. And it's like, that's not something I stand for. Like personally, it's like I've worked within schools where it's been like practice, and it's like, these are like public schools, there's no religious affiliations, and they were still like requiring students to like pray, and I was super just like creeped out, because I was like, number one, that's like always been a big no-no. Number two, it's like, what if their parents are like against that freaking like stance? What if they follow a different religious group? And then, so oddly enough, like of course I ended up being in like one of those places where like everybody was like a part of the same religious like sect and group, so it was like, not something that would cause an issue pertaining towards that. But I was like, in a hypothetical freaking sense for like others, that would be like a definite freaking no-no. But I was like, I guess in this sense, it's like easy to get away with like breaking the rules because no one's really gonna like speak out against it. So I was just like, oh gosh, that's messy in itself. But that is a job for someone else to literally focus on and freaking work towards finding a solution. If it's something that's established by the freaking management within a business, however, and they're okay with going against the rules, you can't really speak out towards the freaking rights of the people, with them being like, of course, being under the age of like 18 also, with it being so young. It's like you're speaking out for people that are freaking, like, they're still children, their parents still have an overall say within their life. So then it's like, if you speak out for the freaking parents, it's like their parents choose to not have a stance upon the issue, then you're speaking out for like a freaking, you're speaking out and making a blank notion for those that are okay with violating the rules. Let's see. Religious displays. The government cannot endorse religious displays on public property, such as nativity scenes in government buildings, as this would be seen as favoring religion over non-religion. So in creating freaking art displays in public government buildings, it would be just like art displays overall in like public government buildings is like something that's like, it's okay. And like scenes such as, artwork that was freaking made like years ago. We literally worked to preserve stuff as it's freaking art that should be saved, preserved, and shown to freaking people and art lovers of the freaking future to really just see the beauty of it all and the creativity of freaking artists of the times. But in displaying those or having these freaking scenes created in like government buildings just for the sake of literally having a religious freaking portrayal set within the environment, it infringes upon the free exercise of everybody who walks within the place. You are imposing and forcing your religious views and stance upon others, which is frowned upon and would be a violation of the separation of church and state. Government funding of religious institutions. The government cannot fund religious institutions or activities that promote a particular religion. So as stated before, government funding cannot be allocated to fund particular religions, religious activities, institutions, and the overall basis is to protect the rights of the people over the rights of the religion, and to preserve the overall stance of ensuring that our democratic society favors the people over the stances of the individual, but that the rights of the individual are preserved. So there are different levels to the protectorates, but as we have continued to develop as a nation, the basis for each parameter that has been established has been set to preserve the rights as cases have been presented and set the establishment for the original basis that was ensured within the Constitution and the new the rules and regulations that we've had to impose upon society to preserve the rights of the people as the years have continued to kind of unfold. Ongoing debate topics include the separation of church and state, remaining as a subject of ongoing debate and legal interpretations. The Supreme Court has grappled with cases involving religious displays, school vouchers, and other issues related to the Establishment Clause, leading to evolving interpretations of the principles, which again falls into the category of the ongoing freaking development of our society and the basis of adhering towards the established rules and then working with creating new parameters to ensure that no loopholes are freaking like wedged within the midst of it that infringe upon the rights of the individual and that kind of work to favor the church over the rights of the people. And it's a tiff in itself. So it's kind of one of those things where we always have to really advocate for people, like for people that have gone and taken to these courts to the Supreme Court. They have like set the basis that have like literally saved people of the future. I mean, if the freaking basis for separation of church and state wasn't taken serious during like the freaking like 20th freaking century, we would still be freaking required to freaking practice religions within schools. We'd be in like a freaking public school, like, you know, practicing a prayer rather than the Pledge of Allegiance. Be like, you know, first things first, all right, the bell is rung, all right, prepare for prayer. And then, you know, once the morning announcement starts, it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance. And then I've been like, you know, that would be the freaking norm of life. So in working to establish these freaking boundaries, we've kind of separated that aspect and have worked towards ensuring that everybody has the freedom to exercise their religious stances, their views, and overall, the weirdest thing ever, though, is with the establishment of the Christian faith. It was one of the only religions where instead of like worshiping a freaking deity, or a deity or a god by the name of the god, it is a religion where we worship the freaking god as with the name of like the literal name God. In the actual freaking faith, its name is like Jehovah, but in every day-to-day freaking like basis, God is referenced as like literally just God. So we do like the Pledge of Allegiance, like I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and something something, and the republic for which we stand, one nation, and then the under God reference is like added into it, and you would expect that to be like kind of like a reference towards like religion or the basis and flow, but it's something that was like established. It's like a basis of something that it's like okay. So with that one, I would say the only reason that one is like kind of passed upon is because it's kind of like the reference of a god as opposed to the reference of a set god. So for most religious freaking families and for the religious views of the people, it's not something that most will feel like their rights are infringed upon, as it is a reference to whatever god any may worship. Which is kind of like one of those like crazy loopholes that is like kind of continued throughout the years that kind of doesn't get referenced towards, but that really should. The tension between strict separation and accommodationism continues to be a point of contention, with arguments on both sides about the appropriate role of government in matters of religion. And for the final section, or should I say the final paragraph, in conclusion, the separation of church and state as enshrined in the Establishment Clause is a fundamental practice of American democracy that seeks to promote religious freedom and prevent government interference in matters of faith. While the concept is central to the nation's constitutional framework, its interpretation and application continue to be debated and evolve through legal challenges and societal shifts. So as stated, as we continue to freaking work towards establishing parameters for protecting the rights of the people and preventing any loopholes that may infringe upon the rights of the people, we constantly have to re-examine cases, find the constitutional freaking rights and boundaries set within each, and ensure that in setting the freaking new bases and the new protectorates that we, number one, don't infringe upon the freaking constitutional basis for the overview of what we are working to preserve, and then for the second basis, which is actually in tandem with the first basis, that on top of freaking working to preserve the freaking laws, rights, and regulations that we've already set to enforce, we're also working to ensure that the rights of the people is still enshrined within that. And then in doing so, we have to make sure that setting the new laws and the new regulations fall within that parameter, and that the rights of the people still work in tandem with those new rights, laws, and regulations. And then in doing so, we kind of work towards ensuring that the freaking rights of freaking religion are preserved, but that the rights of the religion over the rights of the people are still kind of like kept at bay by the Establishment Clause. Alright, thanks so much for tuning in, you guys, and for freaking checking out this video covering one that I really was like super excited to do. I was like scrolling through my freaking notes section, and I was like, which one do I want to freaking do next? I'm just gonna pick like a bunch of my favorites and then try to freaking knock off a bunch of them for the freaking like notes section. This one was one where I was like, this one is definitely like a yes. So I added this one. I was like, alright, well, I haven't done a freaking live slash in like a decent bit. Between me feeling freaking like sick a few freaking weeks ago, and then the freaking busy flow of the holiday season, work, schoolwork, and then again, I was like feeling super freaking off overall. It's like, alright, let's freaking jump back into the flow, and then let's combine it with the freaking video that I have to shoot anyways, because I was like 9 times out of 10 I'll literally set a basis to literally work on my freaking legal aid freaking notes and my videos, and then I'll freaking upload those and I'll like post them to my freaking accounts, and then I'm like, well, I did my TikTok flow for the day, but I didn't freaking do a live session, and by the time I freaking like get ready to freaking like, oh, well, maybe I can do one, it's like freaking like midway through the freaking day after freaking waiting for the videos to freaking finally finish uploading and then doing dinner and stuff. So I'm like, do I want to do like a crappy lighting freaking live, or do I want to wait until tomorrow and then do a live when it's like so freaking like bright out, so I have the natural freaking lighting? And then it's like, if I push it off until tomorrow, I may not actually do it, but if I combine these two aspects into one, I can cross everything off my list. And then tomorrow I'm just gonna have to work back to go into my normal freaking sleep schedule, waking up around like 6, or like, should I say like 4, 5, or 6ish. That way I can like wake up, do my morning routine, and freaking do a freaking live sesh by like freaking, I would say like maybe I'll have to move it up from like 10 or 11ish to like 9 a.m.ish, and then do a freaking legal aid freaking research sesh in the midst of me doing some schoolwork. Oh yeah, because I go back to school tomorrow, so I'm like gonna have to figure, I'll probably do schoolwork first during the midst of me doing like my morning routine, and then after that maybe a live sesh, and likely some research into new legal aid topics. I literally was like briefing myself and going through a few different like topics for today. And then in doing so, I found that there were like 2 note sections that were like the final 2 that I was going to do some research into before the holiday season concluded, that I completely forgot about. Like I literally got to like the Christmas freaking mode, and then I like cleared everything out. I had to like restart my computer, and I was like, do I want to open everything back up and then make sure that I don't forget which topics I'm going to work on next? And I was like, no, I'm literally just going to put those on pause for like a brief bit until I'm like, ready for those. But it's going to be time to like tackle those tomorrow. So it's back to school, sticking to my regular sleep schedule. I got up early today. I got up at like 8 o'clock, as opposed to me freaking staying in bed until like 11 over the past few days. Like if it's an off day for me, I have been like sleeping my freaking like, I've been sleeping in, and it's been freaking great. I've been like waking up for like brief sessions and then just falling back to sleep after, and it's been so perfect. Like I feel like I've never done that in my life, so in doing it, I was like, oh, this is like refreshing. And then in doing so, also I've been waking up and not feeling as drained as I typically would, which is also something that I guess I can literally attest to my freaking like off sleep schedule at times, because there are some moments where I'll literally like fall asleep around like midnight, and then I'll still wake up at like 4 and like 5 in the morning, and then I'll literally just start the freaking day off like that, and then I'll look in the freaking mirror like by like the end of that freaking week, and then I'll have like bags under my eyes, and then I'll look super exhausted. Then I'm like, did I miss like sleeping at some point? So then I'll like go back and I'll check my freaking like sleep count for the night before, and like try to like compare it to the day before that, and then I'm like, well, I did like 5 hours the night before that, and then I did like 4 or like 5 hours yesterday, but I'm like, that should be freaking fine. That's around like 6 hours or so. That's like my typical freaking sleep flow. And then I was looking at my sleep pattern over the past like 2 weeks or so while I was feeling like a bit like kind of like sickish during like the holiday flow or so. And I was like, I've been doing like freaking like 10 hour, 11 hour, and like 8, 9, 10, and 11 hour sleep days over like the past freaking entire week. So I was like, this is a better improvement. So for the beginning of this entire weekend with my freaking workflow that was thrown in over the weekend, I've been just like, I've been fine. And I haven't been drained, which has been freaking great. I've been sticking to like doing my freaking cocoa chinos, so they've been helping me like stay energized, and just like drinking a like yummy basis, staying hydrated, as opposed to like typically like drinking like half a water bottle throughout an entire freaking day. And it's like a freaking like 16-ounce water bottle, but if I'm drinking like 8 ounces of freaking water a freaking day, like that's just it's like me having like multiple little like half cups of freaking like, no, I would say quarter cups of water throughout the day, and then concluding the day with like 4 quarter cups of water throughout the freaking day, and then I'm like waking up feeling like drained and freaking parched the next day, and it's like definitely gotta freaking drink more throughout the day and stay hydrated. And I'm working on freaking eating just more throughout the day, but 9 times out of 10, if I'm not eating something that's like super healthy or like filled with freaking veggies and stuff, I'm like typically like super iffy on it. I don't know, my taste buds have been off over the past few days too. Like that's how I knew I was starting to get sick like last weekish. Because I was like, everything, it's just like, I don't know, it's just like, it's tasting off to me. And then like over the past few days, I was just like, no, everything literally just tasting like super off to me. I'm like, what the freaking heck is going on? So I'm like working to freaking just add more like healthy foods back into my diet, and then figure out what's gonna work with my taste buds. Hopefully I can still do like super freaking spicy Spanish food. I took out some of that barbacoa freaking like meat for dinner tonight. So I'm gonna do like that with some freaking like onions. I think I used up all the tomatoes, so I'll do like some onions, lemon, cheese. I've got some guacamole, some salsa. So they should be freaking fine. Typically I add like some lettuce or tomatoes, but I just throw like the last of the freaking set of them that I had in the fridge. With me getting like feeling like super sick over the past few days, I literally like let my salads go bad in the fridge, and I had like 2 freaking sets of them. But they were also, I was in like a meal prep night, so I did like a taco set of freaking veggies, and then I did the literal full salad set, and then the salad set was like chicken freaking salad, and then the veggie set was for the ground turkey tacos. And I finished off like the freaking taco meat, and I freaking made like a bunch of freaking, I did like nachos, tacos, and burritos over the course of like 3 freaking days. Then I was like, all right, I'm like all tapped out on that. And then I started feeling super like sick after that also. So I was like, oh gosh. And then I ate like, I would say half of the container of the salad and then once I ran out of the chicken, I was like, do I want to take more chicken out of the freezer and then add that so I can finish off the salad? And then I just did not feel like really eating anything like after that during like the following days. So like the only things that I've really been eating have been like freaking snacks at work. So I've been eating like chicken wraps over the past few days. And let's see, chicken wraps and sushi. And then I was like eating like some pizza yesterday and some pasta that I made and put in the freezer like say like a few weeks ago or so yesterday. And I literally like, I had to like literally like just eat it so that I knew that I was like eating something, and so that I would like didn't like tossing it after. But I don't know, I took like 2 bites of the freaking like pizza and I was like, oh, why does my stomach feel weird already? And it was good. It was like super yummy. I have like 3 slices left in the fridge. It was like one of the little like medium sized like personal freaking pizza sets. So it was like super yummy. It's like a freaking Italian sausage pizza, and it's like one of those freaking ones that's like gourmet freaking style. And I just have not been able to freaking like finish it or like get through like really anything. I don't know. But those are my updates. I had a great holiday season. I brought in the New Year's, and I had like a lot of freaking individual freaking fun. I missed the ball drop. I went to go check and like watch it on freaking Disney, and then there was like nothing going on. And then I was like, do I want to check around for the stream? But then I was like, I like waited until the last minute to go check the ball drop because I was like, it should be like on Disney, so I'll pop in just in time to like catch the beginning of the ball drop or so. And there was like nothing, and I was like, oh gosh, I probably did like the ball drop for every freaking other time zone within our freaking country, and then skipped this one. Or I should have like, I was like, I could have like popped on Peacock and literally have caught the freaking ball drop there, but I was like, oh, well, until next year. And then I like took like a few more sips of my champagne, and then I was like, all right, I'm freaking like done for the night. And then I KO'd after that, and then I was like, all right, beginning of New Year's vibes. It's gonna be great. And then I was like, oh, I have work in a few days, and it's still the end of my winter break, so I'm gonna go pop into work, handle some essentials, and then I'll prepare for going back to school within the next few days. And my roommate got back yesterday, and I was like, I just remembered I go back to school on Tuesday, like literally like yesterday morning. My roommate came back for school like yesterday freaking night, so I'm like, all right, it's official. It's back to school freaking season for the new year. I'm a bit excited. I have like one of my new freaking final courses. I think this is the one of like 3 courses that I have left. Or maybe, no, I think it's like the one of 3, I would say. This one is going to conclude in February, and then I have one concluding in March and April. Yeah, so this will be my one of 3 final courses before I officially can say my bachelor's is completed. Let's see, who joined in? Hi, Mimi. Thanks for tuning in and sending so much love through. Alright, I'm concluding it, you guys. I'm gonna like save this freaking like breakdown and then add it over for the YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on YouTube, TikTok, and for watching my live. Go check us out on our social medias. We are on Instagram, DKHLegalAid, X DKHLegalAid, and TikTok, DKH.legal.aid. I love you guys, and I will talk to you guys later with more fun topics. And don't forget to go check out our website, leave us any updates, or if we can drop any great topics. And go freaking follow us and stay posted on everything. Love you guys. Have an awesome freaking exceptional new year, and find a good partner for Valentine's Day.